You should reconsider this. Gasps and whispers filled the room at her words. The grown-ups exchanged looks of uncertainty. My sister made to mediate, but I shut it down. Why? She asked. 'Cause the ranger is glaring at him. His face is hidden from me. Oh, my statement, well, there is too much. There are so many haired people. Ha! I'm Lena. My parents, my sister, and one of my niece form a family living together. My sister became a widow from illness and returned home with my 2-year-old niece, Aria. We've all been raising Aria since then. I work from home, so no one is available to keep Aria company in the day except for my parents and sister, who fortunately have responsibilities themselves. And I am a business owner, although just me and the company I founded it, and fund my salary with a game app I created while studying. The first one proved to be popular, and every new app that has followed in its wake has been a success. Now I have a stable income. My sister, growing increasingly concerned of her only brother who has turned himself into a shut-in. Lena, you do realize that you can move out, right? Why would I? Don't you need to live alone or whatever? Not really. Are you worried about us? Huh. Since we moved back, you've been around to help with Aria. You earn well enough to afford some luxury apartment in Big C. A city apartment? No thanks, but enough. What's your point? You're still young. What about romance? Romance? Not interested. I'm happy with Aria. That's enough for me, so don't worry about it. And it's true. I adore my niece. I was not interested in romantic relationships at all. All I want to do is support Aria, my baby sister, whom I respect tremendously. I freely confess I do care about my sister a lot, and I will go to any lengths for her. And how I barked away all the idiot who approached my sister. Like a loyal dog, he was the only person out of all them whom I trusted to watch over my sister, and that was just because he wouldn't leave her alone if his life counted on it. My sister was upset, and I never want to lose her. Both my sister and Aria are angels to me. My niece is quite mysterious. From time to time, something strange happens when we hang out. She would put her hand up to wave bye when she was barely 2. At first, I thought she was dancing in sync with the television, but sometimes she does it while staring at a blank screen, laughing and waving away. I brought this up with my sister, but she couldn't remember any apt moments. I asked my niece one day, "Are you saying goodbye to a lover?" She nodded, and then she pointed behind me the next second. I involuntarily stiffened in my seat. A child waving at ghosts, those stories go around, too. They were invisible to adult eyes, but children can see things we overlook so easily. Yet the sight of her pointing behind me was alarming. But my niece's laughter kept me comforted. When she started talking, I said to her, "Who are you waving at?" "A ranger." "A ranger? Who?" She loves reading. These days, she requests tales about rangers. I realized she thought I looked like a ranger. It used to unnerve me, but now I just wave back at the spectator that no longer unnerves her. When my niece celebrated her 8th birthday, the ranger was finally unmasked. That summer, I was cleaning an old barn on a visit to my maternal grandparents. My niece offered her help and pointed to a picture in the shed. "Look, the ranger," she cried. "The ranger? Yes, it's the ranger." When I asked her to explain, she pointed at one and showed me a photo. "The ranger," she nodded. "Yes, he does come to you now and then." I laughed. "No, that is the ranger. He's your mom's and grandpa. And he's not a ranger, but a hunter." "What's a hunter?" "An animal. Somebody who picks up the soul of a bear. Ah, I see. She wrote, a hunter resembles ranger. It does look a bit like that indeed. My niece actually described the figure in her note to be my grandpa, who had passed away. It warmed my heart. I was very close to my grandpa, and growing up, he passed when I was in middle school. He rarely called me by my first name. He was a bear hunter, an old-school woodsman who had learned more or less on his own about the ways of bears and how to pursue them. The mountain god was mad, he said, and left me behind. I was a girl, but it also taught me two things that I never knew what to be done before: how you handle a bear and get oil out of the ground. He seems to still be watching over us. Well, one time around that period, I met a man. Crib. It was during a lecture on app development on the insistence of a friend, whose course my chin strode confidently timely to attend. The eyes were of Lucas, the man who came up to me looking at an app I built. While he was a regular worker at this corporate company, the lecture sounded like something that would be appropriate for him to sit in on as side mission exploration into app development. Ma'am, whether can I create apps like everyone? Once you get the languages down, well, it's a lot of doing. There's limitless potential. We talked little in the beginning. I just knew he was always there because it turned out we had a lot of classes together. I was completely uninterested in romance up until this point, but I have never seen anyone glide quite as gracefully across a room. Lucas a day, he asked me meet him at one of the caves near where we live, and that is never good. I could sense the sorrow in his body, even as I pulled up outside. When you are busy, I am sorry for bothering you, but I had to see you. His story was heavy. There was little time left after learning of his mother's serious illness. There was a slim chance that specialist medical care could save her, but there would be an exorbitant cost. It was unfortunate that he could not afford it without insurance. It's a tough situation. If I had $35,000, maybe my mother could be ock. I offered him solace. You must do what you can, and hey, remember, opening up about is a load off your chest sometimes. Not just that, but then he hesitated. Then again, $35,000 is not easy to come by. Lucas, you out of money after all these years? Not really, but it just seems like $35,000 is a lot of money. Wait, I still do not comprehend. Do you have $35,000 or not? Egan paused and replied, yeah, I do. Oh, then that is not an issue. Put it on your mom now, I told him. To my surprise, he changed the subject. My God, we're not going to have a wedding if I use that money, are we? Surprised, I asked, what? I want to marry you, Lena. Lucas smoothly admitted. It was a proposal that took us by surprise. Marriage, which I had never truly thought about before for myself, now seemed very relevant. But he had other things on his mind at the moment. Of course I would marry you if I were to. I am not one for massive weddings, but a simple engagement party may be the way to go. Yes, we put a ring on it, but technically speaking, we're not engaged. Just call up some family to get dinner together, so your mom will be fine without a fraction of that $35,000. I need good money as well, so there will be no financial worries once we wed. You can rest assured. Thank you. It was startling to see him, and an elation of spirit prevailed when Lucas's mother began drastically improving 3 months after this experience, thanks in large part to medical wizardry. Lucas asked me to marry him again, and I said yes. Each of us had assumed we would be visiting the other's parents' homes for greeting each one in turn. That left the parents' house, which is company housing for them, and they would as soon not be reputation currency around their neighborhood. So we conducted the meeting in a restaurant so as to not disturb him. I also avoided inviting him to my house. The 3 of us met at a different restaurant with him. Then we would celebrate being engaged with a family dinner, and both sides were fine planning the wedding. But here was my niece's surprising statement. My niece was rather restless from the morning on that day. I asked her why, and she told me, "He is moving more than any deer I have ever watched." I tried to keep optimistic and chalked it up as he was just nervous for my wedding. Once in the restaurant, and before any greetings was uttered, my niece said, "Give this guy a second thought." The room fell silent. The grown-ups looked inexplicable. My sister tried to break the tension, but I stopped her. "Why?" "Yes isn't scary, because the hunter is giving him a dirty look and I cannot see his face. There's too much hair." My niece caught a slightly awkward look by Lucas. Kids have the best imaginations, right? Maybe it's from TV. He tried to cheer things, but he went white and his smile disappeared. My niece would probably strike anyone as odd if they were to meet her in person. Nevertheless, in that instant I felt Lucas's bigotry as he scrunched his face at a baby. "I see. Maybe reconsider this guy. So you see, Lena, the hunter has been here in front of you all along. This guy keeps growing hair and he has been brushing them away. And a white dog is angry." "A white dog is angry." She gestured to Lucas's mother. "A dog?" "Yes, the white dog has been picking on Asa up by his brain stands." Lucas's mother gave him an abrupt look, then went into a rousing chorus of apologies. "I apologize. I no longer wish for the cash. This job? Non-existent." Both of my, also perplexed, parents and I verbalized our confusion, but Lucas immediately started cursing me out. "Damn it. Fulfill your role properly. I'll refund the money. I never should have taken this job. I apologize. Your fault. It's all ruined." "Enough. Words with hate to the ones they'd kill for now. What's going on?" The truths discovered by his mom stunned us all. It transpired that the person I thought was Lucas's mother turned out to be hired help. "An odd job, man." "Perhaps," said Gerber silkily as he walked over to his desk and sat behind it. She was not a mother. She knew that it wasn't right, but because of the money she accepted. No amount of desperate apologies would make me feel like she was to blame, no matter how much I wanted retribution. Given all this, marriage was the least of our worries, but Lucas wanted to make it right. Crying, he said, "Clara, I'm so truly sorry for lying. Know this, though. My mom could not be here because she was in the hospital. I do love you. That is why I went out and got a woman to play my mother. My heart is true to you. Please believe me." His eyes pleaded with me. "No way," I said without hesitation. What type of matrimonial alliance begins with a deceit? Is this some movie? This is real life. I won't be faking priest on my wedding day. This marriage is hereby invalidated." Lucas sighed and changed the subject. "Fine, guess it's over. You're stingy anyway." "What? You would typically make a contribution to your partner's mother health care costs. That $35,000 to you is nothing." "There are huge numbers of them." I replied, "Certainly not. This is why I called you stingy. Marriage would save me financially." "Oh, no, marriage right must not really need me here then. You're truly creepy." "Wait, Lucas. Lucas is going to talk foul with my niece again, and there he scratches his neck, but falls over. We phoned for an ambulance in a panic, but when they inquired where family could be contacted to meet Lucas at the hospital, we met with silence. Therefore, he was left to take an ambulance. His hair was all matted around his neck, so it must have hurt. The teacher said, and my niece added to the conversation. A somber pall of silence hung over them, strung tight. The white dog is smiling. That's good, my niece told the lady who asked to be Lucas' mother. She was alone and a dog owner. Her dog recently died, and she found the aloneness intolerable. For 9 years she has been hired to a job where there is no way out. She was desperate and carrying loaded guilt. Aside from buckling down, she wants to get a real job. She apologized over and over before exiting the restaurant. Who knows to what extent, but at the very least, well, he was just trying to get my money, I guess. How embarrassing. Oops, sorry, everybody. I giggled it. My niece grinned, but my parents and sister did not smile. Aria, are you really able to see these things? My sister asked. My marriage had fallen apart, but somehow they were all way more interested in my niece than me. My sister added, well, I suppose sometimes that is true. No on. Ah, I see. Then yes, to eat a meal and then be off to bed. It's my treat. We passed a family dinner, so we again went back home. When we got home, I nodded to my niece as she stood on the steps. Aria, we shouldn't tell lies. Huh? Why? Because I lied to Mom. What? Dad is always next to Mom, so I never worry on the secret. Why? Silently, Dad is watching over Mom. I see. He must keep you and Mom safe. After that moment, my niece never spoke of what she could see again. None of adults in my life, including myself, talked about it. It had been half a year since Lucas was wheeled away to the hospital, and I never saw him again. The big aha, I was watching TV one day and almost spit out my own freaking tea. The program had been about matrimonial con artists preying on women. Joining forces, they hired private detectives to retrieve money from the con men. The scammer, whose face on screen was covered with a mosaic that made the image hard to read, but utterly recognizable as Lucas, he had used the same ruses on women, saying his mother was gravely ill and needed medical attention only available in Germany, for example, who then coughed up at least $70,000. I exhaled. Phew, I didn't get tricked. Thank you, Aria. My niece was smiling. A decade on, my niece had come of age, and I hit the big 4 ohms. However, what I found in new experience was there to greet me. However, does marriage have any relevance for me still, being beyond 40? Deep in thought, my niece came to me and whispered softly, Lena, this is the real deal. You'll definitely be happy. Congratulations. 6 months later, I got married and came to my new home with all the joy. And if she did have any mysterious abilities, they meant nothing to me. My niece had saved many times after all. The fact that was, well, Kale, Nikki, and Lotus experience. I wanted her to be happy, since as an aunt I had given so much help. Incrimination. Marriage scams are the worst. Victims must get their refunds back fast. Only if we try to live a life of truth, righteousness. Thanks for hanging in till the end. If you liked this